Welcome back to the Clear channel. Appreciate you guys jumping on this morning. So first things first, I know I see people in our office here, as always, back in the training room. Jake, if you could turn around, I see you sitting right up front with your jersey on today. If you could look around and see if there's anyone that's in the room. I know we have some visitors from Indianapolis this week. If they could pull out their cell phone, it's the only time I ask for you to please subscribe. Please subscribe to Clear Channel on YouTube. We're over 900 subscribers. And I remember it was me back in the day on YouTube, subscribing to my own channel. So it's exciting to see where we've gone. And man, do we have an incredible speaker today. I am so happy to have Monica on. I'm going to share a bit about her background. But first of all, Monica, thank you for coming on this morning and sharing your wisdom. Coming in from Pennsylvania this morning. So I want to tell you a little bit about Monica and have her say hello. So Monica is a certified health coach and personal developmental coach. She helps people close the gap between who they are now and really who they want to become in their life and their business. And, I'll tell you, I love her and some of her profiles I see of her. And we talked a few times on Clubhouse, an app that we've met through. And she's a keynote speaker. She's been on a ton of podcasts. She's led, panels as a moderator. She's a coach. She's been a television guest. And we'll have to talk about that briefly. But Monica, thank you so much for being on today. And welcome to the Clear Channel.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, it is so good to see you face to face and to be here with this amazing group that we have. I can just feel the energy. You can feel the energy through the Zoom. I don't care what people say. I hear people say, I'm all zoomed out. I'm like, bring me more Zooms because here's why. Zoom has allowed us all collectively to connect with people that we would have never met before. And we're face to face, we're seeing each other. And if you don't think you can feel someone's energy through a Zoom, you ain't paying attention.
I love it. So true. I remember early days of our organization, 20 years ago almost, we're doing calls like this on a cell phone and it's on speaker. I put it in a cup to get it loud enough to echo in the room. Like, oh man, things have changed. So Monica, do you mind telling a little bit so everyone can get to know you a little bit about, growing up, life and business, kind of where you are now and share your wisdom?
Absolutely. Well, I grew up in Pennsylvania, and the fact that I'm in Pennsylvania now is kind of fun because I, for the last almost 18 months, have been a nomad. I've been living nomadically and traveling the country in my sweet minivan. And yeah, I know you're jealous. I get it. Everyone wants a minivan with a roof carrier, right? But the fact that I'm here in Pennsylvania is really nice because I've been here since the 1st of May. And I've been really able to get some great quality time with family and revisit some of the places I grew up and drive past my old houses and went past my old elementary school and just really soaking in kind of that full circle feeling that I have now. But I grew up in a time where I know this is going to be hard to believe, but there was no internet. I'm just saying, there was no internet. There was no mobile phone. Like when someone would call you, you had to be in your house, right? So this is kind of the context that I'm laying down here is that life changes and we got to adapt. And so when I look back at my life and I sort of look at the environment that I came out of, there are always good things and bad things about it. My father was absent. My mother was not married when she got pregnant with me. And then she did marry a guy, and then she had another baby, and then she had a baby that she gave up for adoption. And so I have these siblings all over the place that I never even met. And my father's side, I have a sister I never met. And it was all this like sort of out of norm, but for me, it was norm, right? Because we don't know any different. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later, about how that way that we grow up, that we believe is norm, impacts us, influences us, creates the beliefs that we hold and that we carry through our lives. So that's kind of like a really, really big nutshell. I do want to share just a little bit about some of the formative years of my life. And the things that impacted me that I can see had a real impact on me today. Number one, my grandparents had an amazing impact on me. Like I say, my father was absent, which he absolutely was, but my grandparents were so present, right? And so my belief is that that helped mitigate the potential negative impacts of an absent father. Of course, not fully, right? But every childhood has a story. And so I'm really careful to story my beginnings specifically in a way that people understand that whatever they were, and it's our job to take the good parts of it and to make of it what we will, right? I was kind of a band nerd when I was in high school, and I marched in drum and bugle corps, which was amazing for me in terms of relationships and learning teamwork and skills and perseverance and consistency and intensity of effort and all these incredible things. And that was a really important piece of my life as well. Even though it was only 4 years, it was really, really important. And so I've just kind of really taken all those experiences and tried to do my best to bring them to bear in the way that I live my own life and what I do and the work that I've done with other people.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I know in most recently in the last 10 years, there's been a lot of change.
Well, in the last 2 years, there's been a lot of change, actually. But all of life has changed, first of all, right? And one of the things I talk to my clients about when we first start working together is that there are some things I lean upon in my coaching work. And one of those things is part of the reason we feel pain in life and we struggle and suffer is because we resist what is. And what is the fact that life is always changing. Sometimes we're in control of those changes and we drive those changes, and other times those changes impact us. They just happen. Things just happen, right? And so the last couple of years has been a big, big period of change for me. I had been in a relationship for 24 years, 18 of those years married to a very good man. And in 2020, we split. And this is not the time or place to tell that story. However, that was a really rough year. COVID notwithstanding. Like, let me just tell you, COVID was the least of my worries in 2020, right? Lockdown was the least of my worries. But this upheaval, this personal upheaval that happened in 2020 was, as I believe all crap sandwiches are, the container for a gift or multiple gifts, right? So yes, in the moment, it was a double-decker crap sandwich. But what's super cool about it is when I look back on it, and it was just 2 years ago, and I look at myself now and where my head is now, and where my heart is now, and how I feel now, that to me is a beautiful story in itself. That ability to be resilient, to come back, having learned and grown and experienced something awful, and using that to move forward in a way that is open-hearted and not full of bitterness or sort of letting it build that crusty outside that we see sometimes people get when they go through hard things.
Yeah, it's interesting. I ran a meeting yesterday for our staff about there's a difference when you look at the world when things happen to me, like I can't believe it's happening to me. I can't believe it happened to me, as opposed to looking at and making the transformation and the shift to things are happening for me. And that's a big evolution in people. And I know I went through it. Most successful people do go through it. And tell me, so you've learned a lot about yourself and a lot about your clients through coaching. I find sometimes people kind of get in their own way. Any thoughts around to help people get out of their own way?
Well, the first thing is I'm an expert at getting in my own way. I think if we were to pretend, any of us as human beings, to pretend that we don't have mad experience getting our own way, we're full of it. Because getting in your own way and figuring out how to get out of your own way is what helps other people learn how to do the same thing, right? And so that's part of what makes us qualified to help people, is that we have that experience. It's one thing, and we talk about this in the health and fitness world as well, because my work in coaching and self-mastery coaching, personal development, overlaps health and fitness. It just does, because health and fitness and wellness are a massive part of personal growth and development for lots of reasons. But one of the things we talk about in that world is, would you rather, or would you feel more confident working with someone who has experienced some measure of what your pain is and come through it? Or would you feel more confident working with someone who's learned these things through their schooling only and who's not actually experienced it? I think for most people, the experience that your coach, your mentor, your leader brings to your situation gives you a different feeling about them, as if like, yeah, they probably get it a little bit more, right? And so when we talk about getting out of our own way, the thing that comes to mind is toddlers and dogs. And what I mean is, do you ever see a toddler or a dog who wants something off the countertop? What do? They don't sit over in the next room and go, let me see, I'm just going to put together a strategy and I'm going to take some courses and I'm going to call some people. Then I'm going to journal about it. I'm going to journal about that cookie that's up there. No, they do not. They go to the counter, they look up, and they take action. They jump, they pull a chair, they climb up on, like, using the handles of the cabinets. Anyone who has little kids, you know this is true, right? They take action, which is not to say don't think, don't plan, don't strategize, but don't do that to the detriment of taking action, to the exclusion of taking action, right? And it doesn't matter the quality of the action. It's the action of taking action that starts that ripple, starts that motion in the universe. I said
Absolutely.
Universe. Is that too woo-woo already? I'm getting too woo.
No, you're good. You're good. It's
Yeah.
funny, in my house, it's one little boy is trying to get something, the other one's pushing the other one out of the way. They're fighting their way to get the thing off the counter. So that's exactly what
Are
we
they
see.
twins? Do you have twins?
No, Brady's 9 and Mason's 6. So, but they're so close in age, and you know, they just this morning it was funny because, you know, we had to get shoes on, and one was elbowing the other one in the face as they're kind of climbing off the couch to get their shoes on, and it's just, they're boys. That's just what they do.
I love boy energy so much. And here's the good news. They're elbowing each other in the face. They're jockeying for position, but wait until they start teaming up against you. That's when you're in trouble.
Yeah.
When they learn to work together, look out.
Yeah, I can already see it happening a little bit. So it's kind of funny because we're like, hey, Mason, come here. You know, they go around the corner, I'm like, hey, come back here.
Forging
so
the bonds of brotherhood in those instances, right?
Yeah, I love it. And tell me, what do you enjoy most about coaching people?
I love seeing transformation. And part of the reason I love seeing transformation in other people is because I have experienced transformation in myself. And so it makes me excited because I've felt it. It's just kind of like, did you ever introduce somebody to a food that you were just in love with? You're like, oh my God, you've got to try this because it's so good. And they love it as much as you do. It's like the same with transformation, right? I get so fired up when my clients send me text messages in between our sessions about how they use this new skill, or they're deploying this new attitude or this new mindset or this new practice that we've been talking about. And I got a text recently, actually, it was in all caps. It's working, it's working. And that just fires me up. It's just, I don't know. I am a person who on the Enneagram, I'm what's called the enthusiast. I know that's shocking probably, but I am genuinely enthusiastic around seeing other people winning. It's really great because I don't have that kind of perverted mindset of, if you're winning, that means I'm losing, right? Sometimes we see people in our lives who, if someone else wins, they feel like a little bit of something, a little bit of, I don't like that. I don't like seeing other people winning because it means I'm losing, right? But I look at it the other way. It's the same with money. I don't want to see somebody making so much money because it means I'm making less or I have to make less. Oh my goodness, no way, man. I want to see people winning. Because the more people I see winning, the more people in my circle who are winning, the more likely I am to win. The more money you
Yeah.
make, the more you show me that it's possible. And it's a whole different mindset shift. And so that's what's powerful for me and exciting about coaching. Sometimes when someone texts me and they say, oh, I'm trying this and I love it, and I landed these new clients, or I'm making more money or whatever, that's awesome. But what I love even more is when somebody texts me in between our sessions and says how they're showing up in a different way in their relationships with themselves, in their business, and that creates a different outcome. That is what fires me. That is a skill.
That's awesome. Yeah, what comes to mind is how you do anything, you do everything, right? And how you show up in your relationships, how you show up at work, how you show up for yourself. It bleeds in everything you do. And then it's interesting you talk about transformation. I found that with the mind and with people being hard on themselves, they sometimes have limiting beliefs. They have these beliefs from their childhood or beliefs from their circle that kind of gets in the way of what they want to accomplish. What would you tell someone and as you're coaching them and maybe you notice that their beliefs are limited or the beliefs need to evolve? How do you work them through that transformation?
Well, the first thing I always remind my clients and anyone I'm speaking with is to remind them I am not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I'm not any of those things, right? So I'm a coach. And so the primary difference between coaching and therapy is that therapy looks backwards and pulls apart and dissects. And that's very, very helpful, very helpful. And we do talk about what happened in the past, but we use that to focus on how can we be different in the future? What do we learn from the past? How do we bring it into our future and create and paint on an entirely blank canvas? Because limiting beliefs are like, okay, this just came in my head right now, so I'm just going to say it. I don't know about how it's going to come out, but limiting beliefs are like if you were to pick up a canvas and set it down and get ready to paint on it, and there's already a picture there. And so you only get to paint in the little white spaces. That's what I can't believe I just said that. I love that. I'm using that with clients. But that's what it's like. It's like there's already a picture drawn there and you just have to stay in the little lines that look available to you. Whereas identifying that you have limiting beliefs is like having a canvas that's blank. And now you get to decide what you paint on it. But the thing is, we don't understand that we have those beliefs because they're invisible, and they're invisible because they've been there for so long we can't remember.
Yeah, so true. So true.
They get soaked in like chicken soaks in marinade in a bowl. That chicken is flavored by the experience of being in that bowl. Well, guess what? Our childhoods are that bowl. And the marinade is the environment of the people, the circumstances, the situations, the language, the behaviors that we see that happen in that bowl. And those things are the marinade that soak into us. We come out of that bowl not realizing that we're marinated. And that marinade impacts the choices we make. And it limits us to the ingredients that are in the marinade.
And so in my eyes, that's why it's so hard. Right? It's not easy to start saying, no, I don't believe that anymore. I don't believe, to your point about other people making money and looking at them in a certain way, or I'm happy for that person, right? Because if they can do it, well, hey, I can do it too. Right. And, in my eyes, and that's why for me, that's why I've learned so much in the last 6 months, obviously, Barb and Tyrone and all these other guys, and some people are coming on the channel here soon. And I talked to Brian last night, by the way. It was an awesome conversation. And for me, I get on and just listen, and I've realized that the circle that you surround yourself with is just so that the tribe, the people that you are around are so important. And I know in my 20s, I didn't realize that. And there's some naysayers, some people, you're crazy, that's not going to work. What are your thoughts around your circle of influence and how important that is.
I think it's something that you just articulated beautifully. When you're young, you fall into circles, you stumble upon circles. Your circles, when I think of the circles I was in when I was very young, it's sort of like a miracle that I didn't end up on, let's say, less than ideal roads. And those circles were there simply because of where I was geographically, the neighborhood I was in, for example, right? Those influences that come into your life at a young age, you don't always choose. Same as the beliefs. You don't always choose your beliefs. Very often, most often, you don't choose your beliefs. Your beliefs are there because they were put there accidentally or on purpose. And to begin overriding those is about beginning to ask those questions. Like, whose voice is that? Whose voice is that told me that? Why do I think that? And asking yourself why you think these things and where those come from is a really powerful thing. Gay Hendricks wrote a book I'm sure you're familiar with called The Big Leap, where he talks about this very specific thing about not only that these things are in there, but also how to dismantle them step by step, where they come from, how to dismantle them, and reset sort of your internal thermostat so that you can achieve things that you never thought were possible. But back to your question about people, that's part of your marinade. And in the early days, you don't necessarily choose those people. But as you get to be mature, you get to realize that the impact those people have on you is massive. And you have to, I believe, begin deliberately choosing who you want in those circles. That's one of the biggest things in life. And we'll talk about this in a few minutes, I suspect, is that one of my philosophies is I am the chooser. I am the chooser. And for too long, in my life and in other people's lives, we let other people choose for us. But sometimes that's the wisdom of getting to be in the middle of your life. You start to realize that you're the chooser and that you've been abdicating your responsibility to choose.
Right.
It's a big conversation.
Yeah, it's funny. We're doing the 75 hard challenge in our office. I know I talked to you. You've done one or two in your time, and there's a little TikTok thing that went around and saying how I think it was Tony Robbins' wife was talking about how nobody's coming. You're when you get older, you're not a child anymore. You have to take responsibility for where you are. You have to take responsibility for who you are. It's your life you live, etc. And so tell me the choices you made and choosing the path, choosing the people to help you grow in your career, and also they choose you to help to coach them, right?
Yeah.
What where do you see people going right by choosing, and maybe where do you see them going wrong?
Whoa, that's a big question. I think going wrong comes from a wound, comes from something unhealed. Most of the time, if we choose people in our lives that ultimately are not good for us, those relationships aren't good for us, or they're not a good influence on us, it comes from a wound that we're trying to heal or fill using another person. When we fill our own buckets, when we heal ourselves, when we look at those areas where we are wounded and we take steps to solve those issues, to fill in those gaps, we come from a place of being more open-eyed when we choose people to have in our circles. We come from a place of, is this really good for me, or does it just feel good in the moment, right? And we get to begin to choose, what do we want in our lives? What energy do we want in our lives? You get to a point, man, when you look at what's exhausting you physically, what's exhausting you spiritually, mentally, psychologically, emotionally. And you go, you know what? Do I want that anymore? Every day you get to choose. I've had to leave some folks behind in my life. And it doesn't make them wrong for being who they are. It just means they don't align with what I want in my life anymore. They don't align, what they value and the way they show up doesn't align with what I value and the way I want to show up. It doesn't support that. And so does it mean I don't love them or care for them? No, it just means I don't give them my time or attention or energy, because it's out of alignment. And alignment is like, I think alignment might be my word for next year, because it just keeps showing up for me about how so many things need to be aligned in order for me to move forward in all the aspects of my life.
Yeah, to me, it's vibration. It's when you vibrate, when you vibe with people, right? That's saying, we just vibe. And that comes from obviously the subconscious and the energy and your values and different things. I mentioned this morning in a quick meeting with some of our core people about how the most valuable asset is not time, it's your energy. And you got to think about, as a leader, how that energy is being developed, how it's created, how it's maintained. And a big key to that is to your point, is who you choose to spend most of your time with, who you allow to come into your world, and are they giving you energy? Are they sucking your energy? One of the things I noticed is you're a master at creating momentum. Any thoughts around momentum? So a lot of people on the call or maybe listening to the channel, they want to create the momentum, they want to maintain it, and maybe even advance it. Any thoughts around momentum?
Big Mo. Yeah. Momentum is created by consistent, persistent action. And here's the thing. And this is why I think where so many folks fall down, myself included. I've done it. Again, I am not exempt from any of this stuff I'm saying. We are all on the same journey, first of all. So I'm super clear on that. But consistent, persistent action, no matter how small, builds, it's the law of accumulation. A little becomes a lot. Small things over time build up and accumulate, right? That creates momentum. And I believe, and I've been using this kind of idea of a spiral for a very, very long time. And I'm just now keep seeing it referenced in books and such. So I'm just going to take credit for inventing it. But I believe that, right? I believe that we're all on a spiral, like that life is like a spiral staircase. And we're either moving up or moving down. We really don't stay still on the staircase. So everything that you do that moves you up a stair creates momentum if you continue to do it. Same with the downward spiral, right? Every decision you make that's disempowering, that doesn't serve you, that pulls you back, that holds you still, that takes you out of the direction that you want your life to go, that moves you down one step. And so it's the accumulation of steps. Are we never going to move down? Of course we're going to move down. We're going to move down, then we're going to move up. We're going to, right? But ultimately, we want our trend to be moving up over time, right? Because that's an indicator that we're doing things, taking actions that are in our own best interest. And I think that's really important for people to understand, that acting in your own best interest is not selfish, that it's healthy, and that it impacts other people in positive ways.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I know in my own experience, from not only just the business that we're in, but also just in life, when I'm good, I have something to give. And if I don't take that time for me, my morning routines, my workout habits that I have, or any of the daily mindset habits, if I'm not strong, it's hard to give to others. So tell me, share with the team, how can we help you? How can we promote your brand? How can we, as a group, repay the favor for coming on today?
Oh, well, that is a really kind question, and I've loved being here today. I have a goal to impact 10,000 people every year, to step into the arena of self-improvement, of self-mastery, of personal growth and development. And I do that in two ways. Number one, I do private coaching, and I do business team coaching virtually, of course, because Zoom is my boyfriend. And so the way that I would ask someone to support my business is to introduce me and to recommend me to a business team, the leader of a business team who would like to do investment in their people. Because here's the thing, your business is only as good as your people. And when you invest in your people invest in your business, period. So that would be, I think, the most clear and direct way. ask for support. And thank you so much for that opportunity to share that. I appreciate that generosity.
Yeah. My pleasure. My pleasure. And my hope is, through this YouTube channel, there's a ton of entrepreneurs within our organization that watch it and share it with their people and share it with their staff. And as our business grows, I mentioned to you the retail space and some of the how we're positioned in the Costco's and the Sam's Clubs and the Targets and things. This idea is really starting to catch fire. So some people listening today are kind of the up and comers, and they're learning about leadership, they're learning about themselves, and they'll be the ones expanding into the markets here in the near future as we take on more and more business. So, man, this has been awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad to be here and so grateful to be connected with you and your team.
Awesome. Any final thoughts? Anything that you want to leave the team with? Any most proud moments in your career path, or any final thoughts?
Yes. Final thoughts. Have the courage to put yourself high on your priority list. It creates ripples in this world that you won't even be aware of that you're creating. And it benefits so many more people than just you. That's my final thought.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Monica, thank you so much. And for anyone that's not driving, I know some of you guys are traveling out to the stores already, but anyone that's not driving, if you can take your computers or phones off of mute and give her, I can hear it in the back. They're all clapping for you. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you.